Welcome to the LA Insider, the podcast that takes you inside the neighborhoods of Los Angeles through the voices of the people shaping them. I'm your host, Jason Anderson, a real estate agent in LA and your guide to the stories behind the city. Each week I sit down with local entrepreneurs, community leaders, and business owners to uncover what makes their corner of LA special, from hidden gems to big ideas and neighborhood-changing insights. We'll also explore the path to success that brought each of my guests to where they are today, their challenges, wins, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're exploring where to live, grow a business, or just want to understand the real LA, this show is for you. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the LA Insider. I'm Jason Anderson, a real estate agent in LA, and I'm the person who helps people find their place in LA. And I know the heartbeat of the city is its people, and especially people who are making a difference. Today's guest is a perfect example. So let's dive into his story and look how he is making a difference. So I'd like to welcome you to Jeff Walsh. He's the Board President of FoodCycle LA. It's a Los Angeles-based nonprofit dedicated to repurposing surplus food and redirecting it to those in need. Under Jeff's stewardship and an all-independent board, FoodCycle maintains high standards of fiscal responsibility and transparency, evidenced by its 100% accountability and finance score, and their 4-star rating from the Charity Navigator. Their organization plays a pivotal role in recycling food waste and handing out tens of thousands of pounds of food across the region. They're making a real difference in the fight against hunger and climate change. So welcome, Jeff. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so you're currently the board president. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I actually got my introduction to FoodCycle in 2022. I was recently retired. I worked for 30 years for Citigroup, mostly in New York area and in Europe for about 10 years. I was 10 of those 30 years I spent as controller and chief accounting officer for Citigroup globally. And after I retired in 2020, I decided to figure out what I wanted to do with my time. And I decided to volunteer for FoodCycle. FoodCycle gave me the opportunity to volunteer and picking up food once a week from a series of stores, including the Trader Joe's in Westwood and Noah's Bagels in West Hollywood and a few other, or in Westwood as well, and then Sam's Bagels in West Hollywood and a couple of other places. I had a relatively large truck at the time, so it was great to be able to utilize that to pick up food, and I picked up about, I don't know, anywhere from 600 to 800 pounds of food on the morning, Tuesday mornings when I was doing this. And then I'd deliver that to the charities or the organizations that FoodCycle had partnered with to receive that particular food. So that was pretty good introduction. And then I basically worked to see if I could get an additional role. And Nancy Beta, who's the executive director of FoodCycle, she was trying to revamp the board, and so I talked to her about it and came on as board president at the beginning of 2024. We've done a lot. The organization has done a lot. It's grown quite quickly, and it's very, very satisfying to be so involved.
600 to 800 pounds? That sounds like you must have some big muscles there.
No, it was, comes in, you get the banana boxes full of food. The Trader Joe's that I worked with or picked up from was extremely organized. I always said that it looks like their supply room or their room where they accept all the food and then divvy it out throughout the store. It looked like someone from the military ran it because it was extremely organized. And when I'd come to pick up the food, it was very easy, on pallets and with the boxes to wheel it out to the truck and load it up and then get it out to the organization to which I delivered it to.
So as a volunteer, was that something you did just now and then when you first joined, or it was a daily
You
responsibility?
know, it was once a week, so I did it Tuesdays, and that's the beauty about the volunteering for FoodCycle is there's an app that they use called Carrot, Careit, and that app keeps track of the what donations are available to pick up, where and when, and you can sign up for those for that route, and then it'll tell you where to deliver the food when once you're done. And for me, I would start about 8:30, quarter to nine, picking it up, and then by noon I was done um, delivering it to wherever it needed to be delivered.
Wow, that's great that they're using an app, just like kind of like your own Uber Eats.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
So Food Cycle, tell me about the organization. Like how many people are on staff versus volunteers?
There's there's it's a very lean organization, which is good. There's quite a few of the employees. I'm going to guess there's probably around 30 employees for FoodCycle. We have a core group of 5 drivers. There's an operation manager, Tammy Dunkley Nikoloff, who is amazing. She does a great job in coordinating not only the pickups but the deliveries, and is very nimble on her feet to be able to get the food to the right places. We also partner with, I guess there's about 230 or 250 active volunteers that pick up food or work in the offices or whatever. We have a social media person who gets out the word. She and about 3 other people were actually fellows or that were from the Climate Corps of Engineers, California Climate Corps of Engineers, uh, and that Climate Corps effectively we signed up for 5 fellows, and 5 fellows volunteer for the organization, and we've actually hired now 4 of them full time to do a bunch of different things, including community outreach, as well as I said, social media. So it's a relatively lean organization. We've got a number of volunteers. I think in the financial statements. I'm going to look at this real quick. I think we said that there was about if we did a fair value of the volunteer hours, there's about $1.3 million worth of volunteer work that's done
Wow.
in the organization. Yeah, so it's good.
And so those volunteers, they could sign up to just whenever they have a free day, you could just go on the app and just decide to help out that day.
Yes, and some people take regular routes. Some people, when they have time, go on the app and just sign up. The app has the capability of notifying, send out a notification. We need someone to pick up from this store today or tomorrow, and would you be willing to do it? So you go through and you fill out the information on the app, get your name in there with your email address and contact details. You have to take a short quiz. You also have to get a very, training on how to handle food, because that's important for our donors to make sure that we have the people that can handle the food and reduce the amount of liability that the donors would have otherwise.
Um, you have those individual volunteers. Do sometimes like companies like put a team day together and like 30 people just show up and do a big task for you?
For example, what's interesting is we have a partnership with Vintage Faith Church in Culver City, and they have a nonprofit organization called Love the City, and the on Fridays jointly put together a distribution for individuals to pick up food. It looks like a typical farmer's market. It's in a park in the center of Culver City, and our team, Tammy primarily, organizes the layout, and then we've got a number of volunteers, and we had a couple of organizations have sent people from time to time, including some of the donor organizations, to be able to work that. And you get regulars and you get regular folks that show up. There's about 100, 150 to 200 people that show up every Friday to pick up food. And again, it's basically weave your way through the line. It's very, very well organized. You have actually little tickets that get you into the area. But we don't turn anybody away. And again, most of the folks that effectively shop at this distribution are not homeless. They're just food insecure, and where they have to make the trade-off: do I get healthy food or do I pay rent? And this provides healthy food and helps supplement their living conditions.
Yeah, to people who maybe aren't aware, can you tell us what is the definition of food insecurity?
It's really those that have to make those trade-offs between healthy food, the produce, and just good food, and not just scraping things together to survive. I don't have the definition off the top of my head, but that's the way I think about it.
Okay. Would these be people that are maybe on public assistance, or maybe they just don't qualify for it?
It could be either. There is I think the statistics is that 1 in 4 LA County residents are food insecure,
Wow.
which is a huge percentage. That's from a USC study that was done recently. The obviously food insecurity after COVID increased quite a bit. I think from the 2021 through 2025, about 260,000 more people in money enrolled in CalFresh benefits, which is the California equivalent of the SNAP program. There's about 4,000 tons of food that's wasted daily in LA County. And there's an estimate of 40% of food in California is wasted. A huge amount. You think about the impacts on the amount that goes into landfills. That's one of the things, is to avoid waste. It also it's one of the leading causes of methane gas. And you think about things like climate and all that kind of stuff. It also, the amount of water it takes in LA, it's always important to think about the water. And the amount of water it takes to grow that food. So we try to put in statistics about how much water we quote unquote save, or actually make sure that went to the appropriate use.
Yeah, so tell me, like, for like Trader Joe's, for instance. So they're donating things that they couldn't sell, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about when you go shopping for produce, right? You're always looking at the fruit, and you're looking at it. Does this look good? Does this have a little blemish on it? Is it something that doesn't have the right round or shape? No, I'm not going to pick that one, right? So you go through and you do that, but it's still good food. It's still good produce. So most of what we get is, they have to change out the produce if it's nearing its date to be able to be sold, or it's not looking well and all that kind of stuff. But we'll pick that food up because it's good and it's going to get in the hands of people who are going to use it right away. If you think about what we actually, probably about over 50% of the food that we pick up is produce, and produce related kind of stuff. And then right next after that is bakery goods. So you think about fresh baked, it may be the second or third day, but again, we'll pick that up, and it's still very fresh for our customers or clients. So that's good. And then there's some prepared food that we'll accept as long as it's been maintained well, and that's also helpful. And then there's dairy and other non-perishables. So that makes up most of what we do. But again, more than half of it is produce.
And since freshness is so important, you must be working very efficiently to redistribute it very quickly.
Yeah, as I mentioned, just my experience, go to Trader Joe's in the morning, in the afternoon, deliver it to, the charitable organization. They sort it, package it up, and basically get it in the hands of their constituents that day.
Oh,
So
wow.
so it's relatively short turnaround. We
Sure.
don't really store any food per se. We just try to get it in the hands of the community organizations that do this.
I'm familiar with the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. How does that exist in relation to your organization?
Well, again, it's a question of where does the food bank get their food? I'm not 100% sure whether the food bank is one of our organizations that we work in and deliver the food to.
Uh-huh.
But the Midnight Mission is one example where we deliver food. There are, I think, close to, like I said, 250 partners that we deliver food to across LA County.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned Trader Joe's. Are there other big organizations that have partnered with you guys specifically?
Yeah, Whole Foods, Lazy Acres, Bristol Farms, um, Noah's Bagels. So those are just some of the organizations that we've also do well in gleaning farmers from farmers markets.
Hmm.
We've got the city of Glendale, Santa Monica, Pico Rivera are cities that we work with in order for both educational purposes as well as uh, increasing the number of donors we can get for food itself. And
Hmm.
then we've got, I think those are the big ones. There are others, obviously, you can see on our website.
Sure. So we've talked about some of your like corporate donors. What about just the average person watching who is thinking, gosh, maybe I'm being too wasteful. I'm throwing things out too quickly. Is there any opportunity for them to donate?
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot accept from individuals just because of the health concerns.
Okay.
So what they can do is one, try to do the best they can to utilize the food that they buy. The other is obviously volunteer for our organization or donate. If you go on our website, you can easily find a donate button and hit the donate button, and any amount of money would be well appreciated and put to a really good use.
And then how about a restaurant that's watching and they're thinking that they should be taking advantage of
Yeah, we do accept from restaurants and the like, prepared meals and the like. So that is something that they just have to go on to our website again. And
Mhm.
if you go to the donate area and it'll say donate food, and there's some things that need to be filled out, but certainly can go ahead and donate and figure out a way to pick it up.
So you gave us a great example of how you got started volunteering. You were picking up the food in the morning, delivering it maybe the same day,
Hmm.
and you had a truck, which was great.
Hmm.
What are the other roles people can volunteer? Maybe someone who doesn't have a truck, or maybe they can't lift. Are there other things
Well,
you can do?
I mean, for example, we have these distributions. We're partnering with the organizations that can go to and basically just hand out food to who are there, shopping effectively.
Okay.
The other is, support local food banks or local food pantries. We go and stock food pantries, and there are people that look after those food pantries, which is basically a refrigerator or a big, huge, industrial sized refrigerator that people can just anonymously just go and take what food that they need out of it, and then those who maintain those go back and restock it from the food we can pick up.
Okay. So I know we'll post all of the contacts for your organization at the bottom of the screen, but are there any specific web addresses that they should go to? Or do you guys have you mentioned you have a social media person. Is there an Instagram that they can follow to find out more?
Sure. Our food cycle is www.foodcyclela.org, and that's all lowercase. I don't think it matters, but our Instagram is foodcycle_LA. So
Mhm.
at foodcycle_LA. And our we have Facebook, which is at foodcycle LA.
At FoodCycle LA. Excellent.
Yeah,
Great. And we spoke a little bit that you have, I guess you have a location in Hollywood, and then you also do some work in Culver City.
sure. Yeah, I mean, the organization's been rooted in Hollywood for some time. The founders of the organization were actually involved in producing films and stuff like that. And so probably 10, 12 years ago, it was really to support women's shelters, but they started just picking up food in the trunks of their cars and delivering to the women's shelter that they supported. And that organization has evolved to what we have today. One of the board members was one of the founders, along with Nancy Beta, who I mentioned before, is the Alex Rose is the board members that was involved with starting this up way back when. But the organization has evolved quite a bit. At the Hollywood location, do stuff with the Hollywood Food Coalition and other things like that. But again, it's expanded to a lot of LA County or the greater LA metropolitan area. So that's kind of where it started. So that's the reason why it's based there.
Mhm.
And then in Culver City, as I mentioned, we've been working with, again, primarily Tammy, our operations manager, has been working with the Vintage Faith Church and this Love the City Center. And we have this distribution on Fridays there. We're looking at additional opportunities throughout the city. But we've been working with an organization called Food Oasis.
Okay.
And if you go on our website and you put in find food, there's a find food button on there. You can see all of the locations with either pantries or that provide meals, and that's a great resource for people who are food insecure, and it's a great way to find where they can get things.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jeff, for joining me today. We
Sure,
really appreciate your time and sharing with us all of the good that you're doing here in LA.
my pleasure. Thank you, Jason.
And to our viewers out there, if you enjoyed today's episode, I'll be back next week with another inspiring story from the people who make LA so great. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in to the LA Insider. I hope today's conversation gave you a deeper look into the people and neighborhoods that make Los Angeles so dynamic. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who loves LA just as much as you do. I'm Jason, and I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest and more stories from the heart of the city. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and keep exploring LA.